So on to question number 5. Which exercise has more transference to the middle kick, knee dominant or hip dominant? And for the knees. So for those that aren't familiar with this, so knee dominant exercises are kind of like a squatting pattern where it's using the knees more, and it'll be more of your thighs doing the work on that. And then hip dominant are more glutes and hamstrings, and that's more like deadlifts, that kind of shape. So which exercise has more transfer to a middle kick? So for me, knee dominant movements are good for vertical jump. So if you're doing lots of jump techniques, that's where that needs to come in. Anything where you're projecting force towards your opponent horizontally needs more of a horizontal emphasis, and that's hip dominant. So the deadlifts, the hip dominant exercises, will have more transference to attacking movements towards your opponent. And for the knees, same thing, you're still accelerating your knee towards your opponent. So although the hip dominant pattern is producing more of that horizontal force towards your opponent, which is going to transfer into better strikes more readily than knee dominant patterns with vertical force, it's still important that you train them both, because you need to balance up that strength on both sides of the joint. So you need the thighs working to that aspect, and you need the posterior chain, the glutes and the hamstrings balancing up as well, so that you're not increasing your likelihood of injury. We're trying to keep everything balanced. So they're both important, but the hip dominant has more transfer. Question number 6, last one. So I studied in a university that has recommended resting at least 3 weeks a year, non-specific sport activities. But I see in Thailand it isn't the same as other countries. Here they always fight. I usually take a break 3 days after a fight, and usually at Christmas at least 1 week, plus the transition blocks which are in the program, where I try to push as less as possible at that moment. So trying to get that recovery in there. Do you recommend complete rest during the year, or transition phases plus rest after competitions, etc. would be enough? So that's entirely down to how your training schedule's going, how well you're recovering. It's a very personal thing. Some people do need more rest. You're kind of, if you're starting to hit that overtraining and your performance isn't continually improving, and the low, medium, high and deload weeks aren't allowing you to keep pushing up and up, then there's too much training stimulus going on there. We need to sort of back things off a bit, and that's where extending transition phases after fights, or having a rest period where you literally do have a holiday where you just take some downtime, are a good idea. If you don't need it, you don't need it. You know, if you're getting good rest and recovery, if you're getting quality sleep and nutrition's good and all this kind of stuff, you'll need less rest. But play around with that. Complete rest, I kind of don't like that. Active rest is good. I kind of like to see a lot of movement going on still, but just different movement to what you normally do. Not loading the same patterns, then your body's getting a rest, but you're still keeping the plate spinning to a certain extent. You're used to training a lot and your body likes to move. If you kind of stop completely, it kind of seizes up and just feels horrible. You won't last long having complete rest. You'll be itching to do something, so do keep moving. And the final bit is, sorry for the long test, but I hope you consider it useful for all the members in the group, and have a good day. So yeah, it was a great series of questions there from Richie, showing the kind of background that he's coming from, where he's truly understanding the training, and you can see there's some thought behind the questions. And I thought it is a really useful share outside of the private group as well, so you can start looking at how you can put your training together in a more effective way.